The Khmer Rouge were a communist group that believed in bringing Cambodia back to year zero, erasing all beliefs that the people had, and making sure that the country was ethnically cleansed. This was a period that lasted 4 years, from 1975 to 1979. Throughout this period, nearly 2 million people died from disease, overwork, execution, exhaustion, starvation, and torture. Now, nearly 30 years later, this tragedy is still affecting the people of Cambodia. The triumph that rose out of this tragedy was the culture and art returning to the Cambodian people. While the Khmer Rouge were in control, all culture, such as traditional food and dances, were discouraged. The Khmer Rouge wanted everybody to be even. This meant if one person starved, nobody else should have enough to eat. Despite this, the way that the Khmer Rouge leaders divided the country depending on who they liked and who they thought was harmless was still present.
Is suffering. People are sick, but going to the hospital does not mean getting better. Most of the doctors and nurses have been executed, as the Khmer Rouge do not want anyone alive who possesses the intelligence to overthrow them. The nurses are average people pretending to be medical experts. Multiple people die every day at every camp. When they die, bodies are thrown in a large pit that, when full, is covered, and then another one dug. Every day, people work for nearly 18 hours. When they are done, they go to get food rations, which consist of watery rice and maybe a little salted fish. When they're done eating, they return to uncomfortable, full huts and try to get a small amount of sleep. They are woken up early in the morning for one ration of food, then more work. This lifestyle causes many deaths. People die from starvation, execution, and sometimes when people scavenge for food, they come across and eat something poisonous. Fathers of families whom the soldiers think may have a past of doctoring, teaching, or simply wear glasses are taken away and killed. Many families were told that he would be back tomorrow, that he was simply fixing a broken-down cart or hauling rice. The fathers would not return. Some mothers tried to take care of their children, but many children were left on their own, with no father and a mother that is unable to help or feed them. Children like these ones were beggars, or they worked all day to try and get enough food to survive.
Cambodia, April 17, 1979. Little did the people of Phnom Penh know this will be the last normal day in their lives for many years. That morning, soldiers on trucks fled into the city. People cheer, not knowing that these people will be the ones that kill 2 million of them. When the soldiers get aggressive, pushing and yelling, people begin to panic. The soldiers evacuate the city, sending 2 million people into the countryside. They are told to leave, to walk, and they do walk for many days. They walk until a nearly estimated 20,000 are dead. The people that lived this march would face horrible conditions in labor camps. These camps would steadily reduce food rations and force more work upon the people. But at the time, the people were scared, tired, and hungry. They did not know that 2 million people would die in the 4 years to come.
And that very much is the case in the Khmer Rouge. All of the things that keep things normal and moral and legal. That's what happened in Cambodia. The war came, Americans invaded, they left. The North Vietnamese were pushed all over Cambodia. That started the Cambodian Civil War.
In 1979, the Khmer Rouge period was over. Vietnam invaded the country after a series of border attacks. This forced Pol Pot and his men into the jungles where they hid. After 4 years, a total of 2 million people had died under the brutality of the Khmer Rouge. Cambodia, April 17, 1975. Little did the people of Phnom Penh know this will be the last normal day in many years. That morning, soldiers on trucks fled into the city. People cheer, not knowing that these people will be the ones that kill 2 million of them. When the soldiers get aggressive, pushing and yelling, people begin to panic. The soldiers evacuate the city, sending 2 million people into the countryside. They are told to leave, to walk, and they do walk for many days. They walk until an estimated 20,000 are already dead. The people that lived this march would face horrible conditions in work camps. These camps would steadily reduce food rations and force more work upon the people. But at the time, the people were scared, tired, and hungry. They did not know that 2 million people would die in the years to come. In 1979, the Khmer Rouge period was over. Vietnam invaded the country after a series of border attacks. This forced Pol Pot and his men into the jungles where they hid. After 4 years, a total of 2 million people had died under the brutality of the Khmer Rouge.